During this era of complete betrayal by Parliament, the whole of Parliament, it's been going on for a number of years now. Lockdown showed them up for what they were. And now with this new government, we can see that this man is not even fit to run a scout hut, let alone a country. The man makes a blunder after blunder after blunder because he looks at life through a statistical sheet of paper. He doesn't realise he's dealing with live flesh and blood. Peter Lynch, who died in jail, allegedly from his own hand, must have got to the end of his tether, if we're to believe it to be true. But then again, jail is a dangerous place run by gangs, and some of them would have been dead against what Peter was supporting. I've been watching video after video after video of Peter Lynch, who happened to be a keen Brexiteer, keen enough to go down to Parliament and stand outside the gates in his typical town crier style, with his placard claiming that MPs and Westminster and the government are corrupt. Now, when he was initially saying this, the Tories were in power, and he did this, the same style of campaigning, the same style of protest, to stand firm with a placard saying in a town crier style way, the government is corrupt, these people are corrupt. Just like he said, I pray for my children, I pray for my children. He does it in a kind of town crier style. Now, he went to several protests regarding Brexit because, as you know, the country was let down there because we didn't get Brexit, we got Brino. But nevertheless, Peter was on the streets coming all the way from Rotherham, where he lived, in his broad Yorkshire accent, a working class man who would have a working class view of life and a very poor understanding of the law. It's a complex matter, even if you study it. So it's absolutely beyond most people if they're just laymen. This man managed to turn up at many, many protests and use the same MO, the same technique to get his message out. Yet, during the time the Conservative government was in power, the police stood there. There were police mixing with protesters. Nothing much happened. It was Brexit. And that's the end of that. They had the protest and went home. And yet, since this new hardline Prime Minister has taken the keys to number 10, suddenly this same man, using this same technique that was not involved in direct violence, even the judge said that, has managed to end up with a 2-year, 8-month sentence. Apparently someone said on Twitter that the 8-month was added because it was also turned into a hate crime. A hate crime to say that you're praying for your children. A hate crime to be worried about the amount of people coming into the country that we don't know that simply do not like us and have no intention of fitting in, none whatsoever. The only thing they want from us is what we give them. And what we give them currently is more than what we give our pensioners. We give them shelter, we give them food, we give them money to spend and no worries with bills because they're sitting in hotels. And that is always going to wind everybody up right across the spectrum. Even people like me who wouldn't dream of going to a protest. It boils my blood to think that we have idiots in power and idiots in Parliament that think it's a good idea not only to pay for hotels to sit the asylum seekers in, many of which are just economic chances, but to pay for 5,000 bedrooms every single night in case an influx turn up unexpectedly. We are paying for empty bedrooms. We are paying the same rate for those empty bedrooms that you would pay if they were full. And if they were full, those people would be in those bedrooms, sleeping on sheets, using towels and eating food. Is that not correct? So why are we paying the same rate for an empty bedroom when no one's using those facilities? Because someone's making a lot of money out of this. And Peter Lynch had had enough. Like many people in the country, we've all had enough. Mr. Starmer, we have all had enough of this. You didn't start it, but you've no intention of finishing it. And when the day comes that a video like this lands someone in jail, then we really are under communism. Because we should be allowed to tell you you're no good. We should be allowed to tell you that we don't see your heart anywhere. We don't see your soul in the job. We see someone hungry for power, determined to be a more important figure on the world stage than what you are. And what you should be doing is concentrating on your country and the people in it that pay the taxes, that put you in that job, that pay for you and your cronies, that pay for you and your chauffeur, your bodyguards, that pay for you and everything you stand for. The Parliament, the civil service, we're paying for all of that. We pay for it, and we have a right to say when we don't think it's going our way. The sovereignty of this country belongs to the people, and it's loaned to you on trust to work for the people, not to work as a global leader so you can change the capacity for the country to be used for its tax benefits to send money overseas. Globalism isn't going to work. It's already failing, and you need to know it. So I see Peter Lynch as an everyman. I see Peter Lynch in the wrong place at the wrong time. And if you'd have told him what was going to happen, he probably wouldn't have gone. That's how much of a troublemaker he is. I doubt very much he would have gone. These aren't hardened criminals. These are people duped into believing that a plea bargain would get them a lesser sentence. And I don't think a plea bargain would, because I think this leader has set himself up to control the judiciary and control the police. It's supposed to work separately. All three bodies are supposed to work separately. I don't see evidence to show me that it's working separately. They look like they're in cahoots. And that's not a country you want to live in. And that's not a country you should sit back and allow it to fester. You should fight. Write to your MP, tell them what you see. Because when the day comes that we can't write and speak about this, we have lost the country anyway. Peter Lynch is a sample, an example of every man. Because everyone is sick of this. From every generation, we are sick of seeing you spend our money on our taxes, on other projects for other people in other countries. Well, we have homelessness, we have pensioners with no winter fuel allowance, we have pensioners who are poor anyway, we have queues in hospitals, we have A&E overflowing, we have human faeces on the floor of hospitals, we have people sharing a drip stand, waiting to be seen by a doctor. We have GPs that seem to have disappeared off the face of the earth. We have GPs who you can't see, you can't get an appointment, but they'll roll something out to go in your arm and keep pestering you to go and get it done. What's happened to this country? What's happened to this country is people who aren't interested in it are running it. People who don't show any compassion, including you, Boris Johnson. It's no good coming out now saying Keir Starmer's tyrannical. What did you do? You opened the floodgates for socialism, with your net zero being brought to top of the bill instead of leaving it on page 54 where it belonged, which would have meant a second term of office for it to be dealt with. And we have to sit here knowing that we are penalised and crushed by fines and taxes and overpriced fuel, when we have to watch China building a railroad simply to transport coal, to increase its use of coal-fired power stations, to manufacture goods that we buy from them that come on a diesel-run ship across the South China Sea. I've never seen a more ridiculous set of people in my life that aren't fit to be anywhere near running a country. You aren't running the country. You're just taking taxes off people and spending it on what you want. And anybody listening to this, has had enough.